Why does it say in this week's Torah portion regarding the red heifer that we burn it, we use the ashes to purify someone that's come in contact with the dead? Why does the Torah say that this whole odd business is Hukat Torah? That this is the law of the Torah? It almost makes it sound as if what is exclusive, the generalized law of the Torah, is this business of the red heifer and making someone pure. And ha-Hayyim says, but we know that if someone's impure, they can study Torah. And it doesn't really seem that the red heifer business is the emphasis, is the thing that is most... there are a lot of things that are important. When we talk about Passover, we say, this is important. Why does it say this is the law of the Passover, of the Torah? And the ha-Hayyim says, we'll understand this when we look into the laws regarding... who can become impure. And he says a non-Jew, when you come in contact with the dead or something like that, you don't become impure, right? The halachas, but a Jew does. Now, why is that? And the ha-Hayyim says it's because once the Israelites received the Torah, they tasted from that honey. The Torah changed them. The Torah changed the Jews. So it's not that the Jew in himself or herself is different. It's not that Israel is different, but we're saying the Torah is what changes the ontological status of the Jew. And by accepting the Torah, by tasting the Kool-Aid, tasting the honey, everything changes. And all of a sudden, when you've tasted the honey, then naturally a lot of impure things try and cling to you. And so you need to remain purified. And he gives a beautiful parable. He says, imagine you have someone that has two jars. One jar is full of honey, and one jar isn't. And both of them are put outside. He says, you agree that tons of worms and flies, insects are going to go all over the jar with honey. The other one might get a bit, but nothing compared to the one with the honey. He says that's the same thing. That jar with the honey is the Israelites once they receive the Torah. When someone receives the Torah, you have everything in the physical world and impurity that wants to cling to that, and therefore you need to keep yourself pure. And he says this also helps explain why when we left Egypt, towards the Passover sacrifice, if you look at the laws there, we were told to circumcise it, we were told to do all sorts of stuff, but we weren't told anything regarding purity and impurity because we hadn't yet received the Torah. And only once you receive the Torah, the fundamental law is then understanding the difference between purity and impurity. That's what it's all about. It's that jar of honey and keeping it clean. And he then says there could also be a hint here that the reason that the law of the red heifer is the one that it says this is the law of the Torah is to teach you that there's something very beautiful and fundamental about the basis of accepting the Torah is through not understanding it. Is through having faith that it works, that jar of honey is what makes life sweet. I think it's one of the most beautiful ha-Hayyims I've seen. Shabbat Shalom.